Hey guys, this is Janelda from My Way Janelda's blog. I think it's time now that it's been a couple of years since this actor I met passed away, especially after the documentary Hollywood Demons came out back in April, 5 months ago. I'm ready to talk about my experience of meeting the late actor who is known to play Tommy Oliver from Power Rangers, Jason David Frank. I do want to talk about meeting his daughters, Skye and Jenna Frank. They're so sweet. And I know there has been stories about both of them, but these are sweet ladies that adore their father. We don't know really about their lives, but like I told Skye and Jenna, their legacies for their father, including their brothers. But before I continue on about this video, I do want his daughter, Jenna, to introduce my blog.
What's up, everybody? It's Jenna Frank, now known as Ashley Reed, and I just want to give a huge shout out to My Way Janelda's blog. So amazing, guys. Go check out the content. It's going to be amazing, and a lot of mental health content coming soon.
Okay, so I met Jason David Frank at a local comic store at my hometown. This was on December of 2021. I remember before I met Jason or going to the comic store, I went to a local Wendy's restaurant and yeah, your girl was hungry. Driving up to the comic store. So I decided to get me some, nuggets and some fries. And I don't know what drink I had. Normally I get a Sprite, but um, so I remembered I parked my car, ate my Wendy's, then got myself getting ready to meet him. Then the next thing I know, I had a phone call. It was due to a family member. And yeah, it was really bad news. I sat in my car for a good 15 to 45 minutes, trying to hold myself together. You know, losing a family member is not easy. So again, got myself getting ready to meet Jason. There was a long line uh once I left my car, like from the entrance door of the comic store all the way to I think the very end of the sidewalk around the like building. So I remember getting to the long line. I was like the very end. I think we had like 2 hours left to meet Jason. Once I got to the line, of course, I met some other Power Rangers fans, or Jason fans, locally at the time. And we just chat, talking about how it's going to be awesome to meet Jason. Funny enough, I would have thought there would be a lot more people, but because my hometown was hosting the playoffs, um, back in 2021, it makes sense. Because I mean, this is Jason David Frank. This is the legendary Power Ranger, Green Ranger. And then, of course, red, well, white, red, and black. Red two times in the Power Ranger um, shows and everything. So I did recall that the person I spoken to when I was in line, excuse me, in line, they told me I have to get a number. So there was like a certain app where you have to log in and put your little information and get a number because again, there were a lot of people, in my opinion, to see Jason that day, and it was a Sunday, so once I include my information and receive a number through the app, of course, the line got shorter. So I was able to get closer to the door. Once I got to the entrance of the door of the comic store, there were like two lines. Um, the right side was a line to be registered to meet Jason, which was one of his team members, and the left side was Jason. So there was a long line at his table to meet him. So once I was on the right side, meeting one of Jason's team members, reps, of course, confirmed my information, gave him my number, and of course, business. That person was asking me to purchase Jason's photo with all his Ranger suits that, you know, from Mighty Morphin, Green Ranger, Zeo, Red Ranger, Turbo, Red Ranger, oh, White Ranger from Mighty Morphin, and of course, Black Ranger from Dino Thunder. So the rep persuaded me very well. So I was like, okay, how much? And she's like, $50. I'm like, bet I'll buy it. It's not bad. And I don't regret it. I'm glad she told me to purchase it. So once I, you know, did gone through the admission part, I went on the left side, which is, aligned to Jason's table. Again, just talking to fans leading up to my turn of meeting Jason. So Jason stopped the line for a moment, which was my turn, and he wanted to record the interaction with his fans. Of course, I was front row because I was next to meet him. I had my mask on. Again, this is like COVID time. So everybody had their mask, you know. So after he did his Instagram story, I would assume it was Instagram because I remember after meeting him, I saw the video on his from his Instagram account. Of course, you couldn't tell it was me because I had, my mask on. It was a blue mask. Going back, so once it was my turn, I came to his table and he was still like editing his video. He was like, hold on, I just need to post something for social media. And I was so happy when I met him, um, or got to see him first before we even talked. And I was like smiling like from ear to ear. And once he was finishing posting, he was like, hi. I'm like, hello. And he asked for my name, and I told him my name. And then I let him know, like, you're my favorite ranger, one of my favorite rangers. You're awesome. He's like, okay, cool. But then also, I don't know what came to me. I had this bold moment, like, I know about social media. I have my master's into this. And he was like, really? And, he started talking about Legend of White Dragon. Now, mind you guys, I did not know anything about Legend of White Dragon. This is coming from Jason. I didn't know anything about this movie. And again, he did this with Aaron Shonky, hope I said his last name right, and with Kickstarter, of course. I learned all of this after his passing. Um, More about it. But anyways, so he was telling me about Legend of White Dragon, and he gave me a hint where, I was trying to talk, tell him about, I see you in Dino Thunder as a Black Ranger. I remember you. I told him how, he was, we were 20 minutes away when I first saw him on television and things like that, which he was happy for it. But with the interaction, Jason really didn't want to talk about Power Rangers. He wanted to talk about Legend of White Dragon. That's all he wants to talk about is Legend of White Dragon. Now, of course, in the conversation, while I was, mentioning about how he's awesome and everything in Power Rangers, he did went back and talk about Legend of White Dragon, and I mentioned about social media. He blurtly just said like, "Hey, you can be in my team and be part of this movie." And I was like, "Oh, wow." My mouth was like my jaw was dropping. I didn't know what to say. I put it this way, having the fact that you heard the news that your family member passed away, and then all of a sudden you're hearing great news that your childhood actor wanted you to be part of his team for this movie. Like, what can I say? Yes, no, can I grieve? It was a lot going on that day for me to just like, okay, you know, I didn't say yes and I didn't say no. Which, matter of fact, I do want to say this too before I continue on with the story. There were rumors that Jason wanted to find some people in his team. Again, guys, I didn't say yes or no to Jason. I didn't even talk this to uh, his wife, Tammy, or, any of Jason's team members or assistants. Like right now, I'm telling you guys in detail what had happened. Okay. But going back, I didn't say nothing. And then he kind of went back to like his job, like, okay, the ranger. So it was kind of, I can tell he was kind of disappointed. Like, I didn't say yes or no. It's not like I didn't want to take the opportunity, but I honored, very honored. But at the time, I was just like cheesy, smiling. I'm meeting, the Power Ranger actor. I'm meeting Tommy Oliver. Like, I want my inner child to be happy. That's all I can think of. But also, I did gave him my picture over. I handed over his picture that I purchased from his rep and mentioned my name again and haven't spelled, I spelled it out to him. He signed it. We took a picture. Uh, then after that, and I do want to address this on his table, guys. He has the Legend of the White Dragon cards, like the actual cards. Of course, I'm going to show you guys one right now. And this one was signed with Jenna and Skye, his daughters. I will go ahead and talk about my experience meeting them too, and explain this experience. So after we have taken a picture, Jason grabbed one of his cards, slide it over the table to me, and said, like, here. That was him wanted me to think about the movie and, of course, that opportunity that he want me to be part of his team. And it was due to social media. And I forgot to mention that I told him how not only have my master's, I forgot to mention that I also taught in a program and a storyteller. For all you guys who are Jason David Frank fans, you guys know he's always into social media and storytelling. I know that's been around that's Jason. Okay. So that's what happened. So as soon, I, you know, grabbed the card, um, he waved goodbye to me and I waved goodbye and went out of my way. As soon I left the comic store, I had like a really girl moment. Did you not hear what Jason David Frank asked? Like I had like a lollipop image in my head, like, woohoo, get back. I told myself, get back to the comic store and talk to his reps, his team member, whoever. So again, there was two lines. So I went back to the rep line on his team rep line on the right side, right? As I was waiting to get closer to his team member's table, I met this um African American black woman with a white binder. The reason I want to bring this, Jason touches so many fans. Doesn't matter what race, what background. And the reason I bring this up, the woman showed me a picture of her, Jason, and of course her son. And she talks so much wonderful things about Jason. I believe the photo was back in 2013. I don't know where, I mean, I don't recall where she took the photo with her son with Jason, but that shows how much Jason really care about his fans. So, which that was really sweet of that lady. Even though she didn't have to show it to me, but that was touching. That was touching. So as soon as I got closer to his team member table, we started, I was able to talk with her. And I explained to her how, you know, Jason and I talked, he wanted to be part of this team. And we just chatted, about Jason, the movie Legend of White Dragon, but we also talk about that time, the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers. Now that the movie came out and stuff, I mean, I don't think it's bad for me to talk about it because, well, his team member mentioned at that time, before the announcement from Walter Jones and David Yost saying how they're going to be returning for the anniversary, at that time, they were trying to figure out who's going to, come for the 30th anniversary. They wanted the OGs, which was Austin St. John, Walter Jones, David Yost, Amy Jo Johnson, and of course, Jason David Frank when he was still here. So we were just chatting, and even before Jason kind of stopped us talking, because of course there's some things that they cannot say. I mentioned like he's the Green Ranger, he's the Power Ranger guy. Like we got to do something here. Like it's the 30th anniversary. I even told his rep that if they're ever in my area, like I know a lot of people in my community. Like if anything about Power Rangers or just this movie Legend of White Dragon, I have their back, you know? So, but going back to the conversation, yeah, the rep and I were just chatting like two people we haven't met. And of course, when she mentioned about the anniversary, Jason was like, ah. And he said something after that. Just, he does not want anything coming out until the anniversary, you know, comes out on Netflix at the time. So, and again, this is like 2021. So, of course, I did receive their contact information, and that was it. That was pretty much my first and last time meeting Jason. So, once I got back home, of course, I was with my other family members while we're grieving from the news of a family member that passed. I told them my experience about Jason, and they were like, "What? He want what?" Like my parents were shocked. My dad's like, "The Green Ranger?" Mom was like, "You didn't say yes? Did you say no?" And I was like, "I didn't say yes or no. Like I don't know what to say." I mean, you got to think about it, guys. Yes, that was an opportunity, but also like I just lost a family member at that time. I need to grieve, you know? But lucky I had their contact information. Um, but unfortunately, you know, you guys know what happened to Jason. So, but but yeah, that was that. Like even when the Power Rangers anniversary came out, to this day I can't watch it. As soon as Walter Jones that plays Zach and Amy Jo Johnson play as Kimberly were singing the song at the end of the Mighty Morphin anniversary from one of their episodes, early Mighty Morphin episodes. I started bawling crying because at the end you can see Tweety on one side and Jason on the other side. Especially seeing Jason's photo because I saw him 11 months before he passed. Let that sink in. And what really got to me, this is the first time someone I have watched, someone have I inspired to meet. Not only that, preparing to give me opportunity to work for his movie that will be great. I do want to say that, guys. We got to be positive about that movie. But I'm not trying to cry because I don't I don't want to cry because it's just it's just wow. It's just wow. That's all I can say. And I didn't think that Jason would recruit his team members in a way from meeting them in Comic Cons and events and things like that. Of course, there's been stories of other people getting that way of being part of his team. But also, I did receive confirmation. One of his colleagues even confirmed with me. I explained to them how I met Jason for the first and last time, and how he wanted me part of his team, and they looked at me like, yeah, like that's Jason. And mind you, this is someone who knows Jason for a very long time and worked with him. They confirmed it with me, and like I told him, I'm honored. I'm forever honored that he asked. And unfortunately, what we talked about with his rap, it is what it is. Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward to meeting his daughters. So I met Skye Frank at Atlanta, at the Power Rangers RangerStop. I think it's called RangerStop and Pop in Atlanta last year. I know some of you guys I met, you know, um, who are from my Wage and O's blog community knows me, you know. So I met Skye, and of course, I'm not gonna talk about what I mentioned to her. That's between her and I. But she did love the conversation. She asked me, and I promised something for her too, down the road. And I explained to her how I met her father and how I was supposed to be part of his team. But it was our interaction that she will never, forget about me in our conversation. So there's that. And then in August 2024, I met her sister Jenna. Now I was at the Power Morphicon in Pasadena. I mean, at that time, I had to do something for my sister, so we both flew. Unfortunately, we missed our early flight, but we were there that same day, but late until the next day. We went to Power Morphicon that Saturday. So I didn't have time once I got to Power Morphicon. It was like, I wanted to talk to Tammy because I know Tammy was doing the Jason David Franks experience. I did want to talk to Aaron from Bat in the Sun, uh, you know, but I only had like 2 hours remaining to enjoy what's left of the Paramorphicon. So while I was getting ready to be in line to meet Jenna Frank, I ran by to Skye. It was a very interesting meeting Skye again, but I love to see her. So, um, we took pictures, I told her I'll see her at another event, and that's that. Because I wanted to take a picture of her and her sister together, but I know she had to go at that time when I was in line to meet Jenna. And then while I was in line, I met one of Jenna's co-stars from the Legend of White Dragon movie, which was, I believe her name, Rachel Brooks Smith. For anybody who doesn't know, she's from the movie Legend of White Dragon, but I recognize her from Bring It On, the movie she was on with R&B singer Christina Milian. So I recognized her. I was like, well, I was in line. She passed by. I was like, "You're from Bring It On." And she was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And we was just, chatting. I told her, well, I want to meet Jenna. And she's like, okay, let me come back. We can talk and, things like that. Bring a photo. So yeah. Um, Funny enough, I was the last person in line, sorta, but there were some other people behind me, to meet Jenna. And just like her father, even Skye too. For Skye, when I met her the second time, when I was in line to meet her sister, she didn't charge me, just like her father. I do it for free. And she did that. And when I got to Jenna, um, I got closer to her table, you know, I don't know. I think we hugged immediately. I can't recall. But also, I did met her assistants, her colleagues while I was leading up to meeting Jenna. Could we talk about Jason David Frank and a little bit? But I didn't tell them why until I met Jenna. So I did explain Jenna how I met her father. I show her the card that her father gave me of the Legend White Dragon. I told her, "Oh, I wouldn't think you would believe me." She's like, "Why would you think I wouldn't believe you?" And then once she grabbed the card from my hand, she turned the card around and saw that, her father's information of their karate school, you know? So, and she looked at the card, she was like, "Yeah, this is from my father." And I told her how I even, show her how her father like slide the card across the table to hand it to me because he really believed the movie. I mean, Jason invested so much into this movie. So, yeah. But I did explain to her that he wanted me part of his team. I told her I think it has to do with social media, storytelling about, for the Legend White Dragon. And yeah, we even interact, some things. But but yeah, there was some other stuff that her and I talked about, which I'm not going to share because that was something we were supposed to do and stuff. Um, but yeah, I just feel like it was so important to address how I met Jason only to his family members or colleagues or people that work with Jason firsthand before I go ahead and tell the story in detail, you know? And I'm glad I did that before I tell all of you guys. Now, the only people that knew about this story was, like I mentioned before, were my family members, because again, I went straight home immediately after hearing the news about our family member. So it's my family members, my best friends, and some people I met along the way that I trusted, that I truly trusted about this before any of Jason's inner circle people knew about it until I'm ready. But yeah, so that's the story here. Um, how I met Jason, how it would have been a great opportunity to help him, promote the story. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like, I know you guys are frustrated of the time consuming of the Legend of White Dragon movie. Again, Jason passed away. Aaron, the Bad and Son production, Tammy, Jenna are doing the best that they can to make Jason fans one last time happy with his visionary movie. Give it some time, guys. Be positive. I mean, when a movie comes, I mean, you're gonna see similar faces. I mentioned Rachel Brooke Smith is part of the movie from Bring It On. Jason Font from Time Force, he's gonna be in the movie. Guys, we're gonna have King Bash, the former Viner social media content creator in this movie. And then, of course, our Yellow Ranger from Lost Galaxy is gonna be in the movie. And of course, Jenna. Like it's gonna be a great movie, guys. It's going to be a great movie. With Skye, I know you guys are disappointed how she's living life. It's her life. There's nothing that you and I can do. But as she gets older, she'll realize right now she's just living life. Let her be. I'm not saying I agree what she's doing, and we have conversations. But that's her life, guys. What I would say I'm proud of her where she did a community venture for a young boy, which I am very happy that she did. You know, she will learn. Give her some time. She'll be all right. And I know before I end this, I know you guys are asking, did you reach out to Aaron? Did you reach out to Tammy? I did reach out to Aaron. We'll see how that goes. Tammy, like I said, I was very close to meet Tammy, but with the way how things goes with my time and Power Morphicon, and she was doing the event for the experience, I just felt like why not meet, you know, Skye again and Jenna. I mean, they will be the ones and their brothers to continue on Jason's David Frank legacy, his own kids, his own blood. So I did want to meet Tammy, but I didn't have time. But I was at the Legend of White Dragon panel at Power Morphicon. I made it in time for that, so I didn't want to miss that. um, but yeah, so yeah, guys. So that's the story. I appreciate you guys listening to my story, how I met Jason. And again, guys, so when the movie comes out, let's support it. We don't know how it's going to be displayed yet, if it's going to be streaming or in theaters. We don't know yet. But the great news um, that, you know, Aaron mentioned on the Bat and the Sun social media platform that on Facebook, it's done. It's just going to a distributor and hopefully we'll know when the movie come out. I'm hoping for this year. But yeah. Again, guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys take the time to listen to my story. Uh, and yeah, that is it. I hope you guys have a good one.